welcome to the show. This is one of our great opportunity to have Jeffrion Aubry, one of the very dynamic politicians from New York, who has been serving this community as an assemblyman since a decade. He has amazing achievements and wonderful contributions that supported to community and this great city to be one of the greatest places to live in. And being one of the senior politicians, he is serving so many committee members and chairmen as well. Let me welcome Jeffrion Aubry in my soul. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much. Pleased to be on your show.
Thank you very much, and it's a really great pleasure to get you.
Yes.
Yeah. You have been serving since quite a long time as politicians and assemblyman. How you would like to analyze and you would like to mention your achievements during your tenure as an assemblyman?
I began serving as assemblyman in 1992.
Yeah.
I was elected and replaced Helen Marshall, who was Queensborough president and also assemblyman. And I came to the assembly rather late in life. I was about 45. I already worked as director of economic development for the Queensborough president, and also for some 20 years here in the neighborhood, running a not-for-profit organization that's still alive today, Elmcore Youth and Adult Activity. So I came to the assembly with more experience than maybe many who come.
I understand.
And a interest in community development, in corrections, in drug treatment, and in housing specifically. But we also, I had experience in running job training programs and some senior centers. All those things were built under Elmcore while I was in office. So it gave me, a pretty broad breadth of experience to work on. And the first real major bill that I took on was a bill to provide for the development of the USTA, the United States Tennis Association site over in Flushing Meadow Park, which is in my district. And so that was, for me, that was the first highlight of what I was able to do.
That was one of milestone in your career.
Right,
as well,
at least the early ones, yes, absolutely was. It was a milestone.
I have one follow-up question: that what are the major merits that you have so that people relate to you time and again?
Well, this office is right around the corner from where my parents brought me to New York from Louisiana 70 years ago. Right. And so I grew up in this community, working in the community, living in the community. So many people knew me personally. And
as a neighbor,
as a child, some of them raised me, and so I think that was a big advantage. And then working in the neighborhood, I was on the community board here, so I'd spent, as I said, I came at 45, so I'd already had a very substantial career in community work.
Right.
And so people, not just this neighborhood, but from around the district, the 35th Assembly District, which I represent, I had relationships with and knew. So I think that helped.
Are you willing to fight again, or are you willing to
I'm always willing to fight.
Oh,
all right. Fighting for this neighborhood is second blood for me, right? It's a part of who I am. So.
Have you started your re-election campaign again, or?
Yes, we are. We're beginning that process. And we run in the assembly every 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's a very short term. And you're actually almost always running.
Regarding your district, District 35 of Queens, which is quite important because of its diverse character.
Yes.
Right? Community from different part of the world, might be from South Asia, Spanish community, and so many other community as well. What is your primary understanding regarding them and their identity, how you are planning to address them?
It's an interesting, I was in Albany yesterday and we got visited by the library system here. So there were 3 libraries. There was the Corona Library, there was the Elmhurst Library, and there's the Lefrak City Library. And from the Elmhurst Library, which is in the district, we had maybe 20 people and probably 12 different ethnic folk who came from different places, from Nepal, from China, from Korea. And you know what I found in these many years, because I came here as this community was transitioning as a young person. This was an Italian, Jewish, German community transitioned into a African American community, and then into the growing Dominican community, Puerto Rican community, and now it has continued that transition so that we have these remarkable diverse populations from all over the world. But what I find similar is that from my parents to the parents of today, all came here seeking a better life.
Exactly. That's
seeking
what we
a
are.
way, right? Seeking a way to raise their children, help their children advance, you know, get a good education, work, and contribute to their world. And so, for me, there's no contradiction between who I came to live with when I was a young person and grew up with to who's here today. And so I think that is the ability to help them do that by making sure that we have healthy institutions, healthy schools so they can get an education, healthy libraries as you know we know they need that, a good healthcare system, making sure that at least the public hospitals here operate and provide service, making sure that there's community safety so that the police are doing their job, respecting the community and being respected by the community. These are the essential things.
Yeah, exactly. And what I wanted to know exactly is, do you have any specific plan to encourage them or enhance them into the political mainstream?
By supporting the local political clubs that we all have in these neighborhoods and making sure that the doors are open to them and that they understand government, right? Because they need to understand those things.
But unfortunately, they have very few access in the political system.
Well,
do you agree
but
with
it's
this?
growing, right? It's growing. For instance, you know, we have, as one of my district leaders in the 35th, we had Hirsch Paquette, who is there, and his dad, who are part of that. And in some of the other sectors, we see growing representation, particularly on the Hispanic side. And then around the borough, because we're part of the larger Wichcombe, the larger borough, we see individuals from a variety, Southeast Asians, coming in, taking a part of that, and becoming a part of the system. And so it is a torturously slow process. There's no question about it. But it is the doorstep to how we get it done.
You are a member of Means and Ways Committee as well.
Yes.
Right? So analysis says that with the wages that we earn in the New York, it's very hard to run the better life. As you mentioned before, that people are here to live good life. Right. People are here to live their American dream. Right. But I know you are not indifferent with this figure, that it's very hard to live with the wages that you have fixed in the New York. What is your analysis regarding this kind of contradiction between wages and the expenditure of common people living here in New York?
We are a big state and a divided state when it comes to making policies, right? So we have a strong Republican Senate and a strong Democratic Assembly and a governor who plays in between. So when it comes to providing and taxing and spending money, you have the conservative, they don't want to spend money, and the needs that we see in our neighborhoods. And so that has always been and has been a battle for some long period of time. Part of our, desire is to see from our opinion, a Senate that is controlled by the Democrats, so that we are not put in a place where we have these caps on spending, 2% cap, that slows us down from responding to the needs that we see in our community, in our neighborhood. Even in a expanding economy where, there are some people making a lot of money, there's this huge disparity. It's an interesting thing. When my parents moved here, they stayed here on this block over here for about 7 years.
Yeah.
And when at the age of 7, we bought a house over in East Elmhurst on 97th Street, not far away.
Yeah.
And my father paid $7,000 or $8,000 for it
At that time.
at the time. And when he left, he sold it for over $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were a chairman of Justice Center as well.
Corrections
Chairman of-
Committee.
yeah, Justice Committee.
Mhm.
And I think your committee is also responsible to reduce the crime rate or to investigate and to make the better situations of the security.
Mhm.
What are you doing currently after having these kinds of hazards and the crimes day by day, week by week? Sometime Florida, sometime in Las Vegas, sometime New York. Many places are suffering and hundreds of lives are losing due to this.
So obviously the first position I've taken is that in this state we have very strong gun control laws
Yeah.
that sometimes need to be strengthened. We need to do the things that people are talking about, have been talking about since we've seen Columbine and the horrors in Connecticut and now again in Florida. So we need better control of who can hold on to and possess guns. We certainly need background checks for people who may have problems that are, affect how they think, mental illness. We need to make sure that they don't have the ability to get the kind of guns that they do. But then we also need the police. We need a cooperation between the community and the police. There had been a division
Exactly.
because of some police policies early on,
Yeah.
the stop and frisk, which created the division between a neighborhood who
Yeah.
didn't want to, work with the police because they were afraid of the police.
Yeah.
So you need to bridge that. The community
Yeah.
precinct councils are
People
the great
think that
big-
police are for them and they are their friend, like
Right.
family member.
Right.
So that they
And
have to
that-
cooperate them.
They need to cooperate.
understand.
And our young people need to not fear the police
Yeah.
so that they will cooperate with them. So I think that there are those kind of things. They have a new process where they have these precinct police who become a familiar and stay in a certain neighborhood. That helps because the same officer then gets to know the people in the neighborhood and you
Yeah.
know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
It was like that when I grew up here.
Yeah, I
and then it
understand.
went away from that. So I think policing practices are important. But we also need to ensure fairness
Yeah.
for people when they are in the criminal justice system. We don't need people who will be kept in jail before they ever go to trial
Yeah.
for extraordinarily long periods of time. It causes that distrust,
Yeah.
so they won't cooperate and people feel that they're unfairly treated. So there are a number of things, and I've worked with the current administration to try and develop those kind of plans.
Regarding the gun control, as you mentioned before, that this is it has been a big debate in the United States. Gun control is,
Right.
and it's captured attention of the Capitol Hill to all the common people.
Mm-hmm.
What is your remarks regarding gun control and why it's not happening till the date, as President Obama also tried a lot,
Right.
and today also the Democrat and other
Tried to pass gun
yeah,
control.
so some Republican congressmen as well
Right.
trying to do that. But why it's not happening, and what would be the logical ending of this debate?
Right. It's centered in our Constitution, right? The Second Amendment guarantees the right for people to bear arms.
Yeah.
People believe passionately in that. The question is, what kind of arms, what does that mean?
Oh,
So
yeah.
when it was passed as a part of the Constitution, there were flintlocks, right? One shot, boom. Everybody had guns because they also used guns to
I
get food.
Yeah,
We have changed over those years, and the guns have changed over these years. So now you can't defend the Second Amendment in the face of the reality. We don't allow people to have atomic weapons. We should not allow people to have weapons of what we call mass killing. You can't allow that. And so the NRA, the National Rifle Association, and their supporters oppose any restriction for because they believe that it should be unfettered. That's unrealistic. The amendment, the Constitution may need to be changed.
I understand that,
Right.
but what I wanted to know is what would be the logical ending of this debate, or it's going on time and again?
I think
It's
it'll continue.
It will
Right.
continue.
I think it will continue.
It doesn't come to an end.
I don't think it comes to an
Oh.
end. I don't believe. Because you have to understand the nature of the United States. I grew up down south. I went to school in New Mexico.
Oh,
People had guns in the back of their trucks everywhere they went. They didn't, it was how they grew up. People down south, my family, they had guns, as a part of their living.
we are requesting and operating many campaigns to renewal the TPS.
Right.
As the assemblyman from the district where Nepalese are living, what is your major responsibility and what is your major effort to renewal the TPS?
To push our
Yeah,
Congress,
Yeah.
our congressmen, because it's a federal action,
Exactly.
to do exactly
Yeah.
that, to, quite frankly, in our position in this neighborhood, to oppose most of the policies of the current president, who has, run in such a divisive way. Even though he was from Queens, he seems to have forgotten what Queens really is.
Yeah.
Right, and is now,
Yeah.
right, hasn't been back in a long time.
yeah.
So I think, that is the battle that we're engaged in. And what's critical for all of us is to pay attention to the midterm elections that are
Right.
coming up
Right.
and to try and help win back the Congress or the Senate so that we have sane policies that will be able to stop him. But it is a federal battle that, and this state has stood pretty strongly, and our governor has stood pretty strongly in support of the immigrant communities that we have that make us so great.
Great.
And we are the city is a haven city,
Right.
that we know the mayor will continue to do. So we support those policies.
Right.
But we also try to make sure that there are resources available for folks who need legal help. And you get that in this city because
Yeah,
of the actions.
but last week that United States, the government, White House said that this is not a country of immigrants.
I know.
So
And they lied.
yeah,
So
Totally.
any historian, we were immigrants. The only people who belonged here were Native Americans.
Right.
Right? They were here first. We came, in different ways. So we were all immigrants that arrived here.
how this country is running in these days, and what the White House and the Capitol is doing. What is your analysis about it? Is
They're
it being one
depending-
of the toughest place for the immigrants?
They are doing what was done in historical terms to the African American community when we were freed from slavery. They demonized us and then instituted laws that controlled us because they couldn't keep us as slaves.
Right.
And that's what this administration is trying to do.
Oh.
Now to the immigrant community, they don't really want you to go because they want the energy that you have, they want the labor that you provide, but they want to limit your freedoms and your opportunities to grow and develop because they want to maintain a level of control. It's very simple, and it is unfortunately, and they appeal to people who are not like us, who are not doing any better than us,
Right.
and blame they try to transfer the blame for somebody not doing so good, saying it's our fault. Right? Immigrants are taking our jobs. That's not true in America.
That's
No,
true, yeah.
not true in America. Immigrants are part of the growth of America.
Yeah.
If you can, every wave of immigration pushes America a little farther down the line. What's terrible is that people who immigrated here, who may have been European immigrants, seem to forget that they too were immigrants and their families were.
Yes.
And they came here with nothing.
Is this mean that the United States is becoming one of the toughest place for the immigrants? Is it going on that way?
I think they're trying to make it that way, but I don't think they will succeed in that
Oh.
because the the power of the immigrant community in economic terms is substantial.
Oh, yeah.
The power of the immigrant community in the advancement of science,
Yeah.
particularly, and you know,
Exactly, and
in
basically,
science and stuff,
yeah, information
all
technology
up and down,
and everything. Yeah.
all up and down are very, very strong. You can't extract that out, and you can't expect to benefit from it if you persecute them.
Right.
So it is a failed policy and a regressive policy that I don't think can stand.
What is your analysis and reading regarding Nepalese community?
Again, I think that they, like all our communities, all our immigrant communities, have integral part of who we are. They come and they join. We respect that culture. We want that culture to be learned by others too. We want it to share what that is, and we need to honor them for the work and the contributions that they bring to us.
Right.
And so, in that they need, we're not a melting pot, but we are a pot that's made up of many different delectable things, right?
Right.
So Nepalese, the Bangladesh.
We have to grow collectively.
Right, we have to, and we don't want to, I don't want to evaporate us.
Yeah.
We want to maintain our distinct cultures, but figure out how to work and live with them
Right.
and appreciate them.
Yeah.
That's the benefit. I'm sure the Council of State Governments would enjoy that
Yeah.
and would relish that as we, learn. People will have to learn what it does it mean to be from Nepal and what its history is, just as you have to learn what it means to be from America.
That's
what
really
its
great.
history
Really
is.
great. And learning from a politician since like you, who has long-term experience, probably a fruitful matter for those as well. In conclusion, eventually, could you explain about your re-election campaign, how it's going on, and what is your primary analysis that you can win or not?
Well, right. 27 years is a long time.
Right.
And again, there are a lot of things that are going on, but there are a lot of things that are now challenges that having someone of my experience may be more helpful.
Right.
The battle with the federal government is going to be substantial and affect how this state does. We may have to change our tax system to accommodate the way the tax system has been changed by the federal government. We have Willets Point development, which is a major development impacting us. We have Citi Field, we have the airport. All of these things are going to impact these neighborhoods for years to come.
Right.
And so from my perspective, I've been in enough roles, in enough fights, I think, to adequately carry on the interest and protect the interests of the 35th Assembly District.
Dear Aubry, I really appreciate your time and opinion and wish you all the best for the re-election campaign.
Thank you